and welcome to S24 Rundown. I am Zainab Ibrahim and here's our news in brief. Now the news in details. To start with, the National Working Committee of the All Progressive Congress, APC, has revised its timetable for the 2027 general elections, shifting the date of its presidential primary. Under the new schedule, the primary election will now be held on 23rd May 2026, replacing the earlier midday date. The adjustment forms part of a broader update to the party's lineup of activities ahead of the elections and is intended to better align with the provision of the Electoral Act and the timetable set by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The party leadership emphasized that nomination and expression of interest forms remain open to all eligible members, dismissing claims of restrictions. Still with APC, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with governors elected on the platform of the All Progressive Congress APC at the presidential villa in Abuja to discuss issues surrounding the party's primaries ahead of the 2027 elections. The meeting focused on ensuring unity within the party and coordinated strategies for conducting smooth and credible primaries across the country. Party stakeholders are said to be working closely with the governors to align on procedures that will promote fairness and stability as preparations for the elections intensify. Now, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has been arraigned in court by the Department of State Services over allegations that he illegally intercepted the phone communication of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. The charges stem from claims that El-Rufai accessed or listened to a private phone conversation involving Ribadu without proper authorization, an act considered a violation of Nigeria's cybercrime and communications law. The case follows earlier public remarks in which El-Rufai suggested he had knowledge of Ribadu's phone conversation, sparking controversy and calls for investigation. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has converted a parcel of land in Abuja that was originally designated for a hospital into a private housing estate. The land located in the Wuye district had been earmarked in the Abuja Master Plan for Public Health Care Development, but has now been reassigned for residential use, raising concerns about adherence to planning regulations. The decision has drawn criticism from stakeholders who argue that reallocating land meant for public infrastructure undermines the city planning principles and could negatively affect access to essential services. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over a request to secure a fresh $560 million external loan, warning against what he described as reckless borrowing. The loan, which has been forwarded to the National Assembly for approval, is intended to finance part of the Sokoto-Badagry superhighway project aimed at linking several states across the country. In his reaction, Atiku acknowledged the importance of infrastructure development, but stressed that borrowing must be guided by transparency, accountability, and a clear repayment plan. On the international scene, tensions in the Middle East remain high as the United States continues its standoff with Iran, even as a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon has been extended by 3 weeks. U.S. President Donald Trump said the extension would allow more time for dialogue, but made it clear he is not in a hurry to reach a broader peace agreement with Iran. Despite the trust, both Israel and Hezbollah have accused each other of violations, with continued clashes and casualties reported. Highlighting how unstable the situation remains. At the same time, the crisis has intensified in the Strait of Hormuz, a key global oil route where U.S. forces have been ordered to take strong action against Iranian threats, including mine-laying activities. Iran has warned it will retaliate against any attacks, while both sides continue military posturing in the region. The ongoing conflict is already affecting global markets, pushing up oil prices and creating economic uncertainty as diplomatic efforts struggle to keep pace with rising tensions. Now, moving on to business news with Hadiza Galadima. Let's hold on for Hadiza.
Good afternoon. I'm Hadiza Galadima, and this is your business update for Friday, April 24th, 2026. We are tracking the pivotal moves in the markets from the local trade corridors in Lagos to the shifting geopolitical influences on the global economy. Here are your top stories for the day. And we begin with Nigerian states ramping up trade promotion spending to 128 billion naira. A new report by Budget reveals that federal regulatory bottlenecks and high shipment costs are undermining these efforts. The disconnect between state-backed export hubs and centralized federal agencies like the Nigerian Customs Service remains a major hurdle for local exporters. Also, in a landmark ruling for consumer rights, a federal high court in Abuja has affirmed the authority of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, to investigate complaints against banks. This follows a dismissed suit by UBA signaling a shift towards stricter accountability for financial institutions. And also following directives from the NCC, MTN Nigeria has officially begun the process of compensating subscribers impacted by network disruptions between late 2025 and early 2026. The move highlights a tightening of regulatory standards aimed at improving the quality of service in the telecom sector. And on the regional front, in a bid to reduce trade barriers under the African Continental Free Trade Area Framework, South African and Nigerian representatives have met to harmonize regulations in the energy sector. The goal is to promote seamless market access for energy commodities and technologies, fostering a stronger bilateral economic access between the continent's two largest economies. And finally, in global markets, oil prices have climbed to $105.95 per barrel this morning as diplomatic talks between the U.S. and Iran remains deadlocked. The continued blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is disrupting critical energy supplies, triggering a sell-off in Asia and the Indian equity markets, with the Sensex dropping over 900 points as investors retreat to safe haven assets. That's the latest in business for now. Coming up next is Zainab Ibrahim and Abubakar Turaki with our newspaper review. They will be dissecting the headlines and the stories behind the stories. Stay tuned. We will be right back after the break.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you so much, Hadiza Galadima, once again. Now to newspaper review, and I'm here with Abubakar Turaki. Hello, Abubakar.
Hello, Zainab.
Good to see you again today.
Thank you, Zainab.
So, like we always do, our first newspaper today is this day front page, and it says, Tinubu to Governor. Our primaries must be hitch-free to preserve APC unity and cohesion. First, I would like to say it seems APC are already agreeing on going for a primary election. Secondly, like I've said before, it seems APC is coming with a lot of rules and regulation, a lot of strictness. APC is coming with a lot of rules and regulation, a lot of strictness to show some level of seriousness and, you know, self-awareness as a party. What would you say about this new devil, this renewed hope we're getting from APC?
You know, we have been seeing social media comments, social media posts calling on the then president OTP.
What about that?
One-time president.
Oh, okay.
From the opposition.
Okay.
So as someone that benefited from the APC, because it's the APC, a political party that brought him to power. And for him as the president of the country, and as someone that is benefiting from the existing structure from that political party, this is a wake-up call that he is calling most of the governors that are enjoying the dividend of democracy under that political party to make sure that the forthcoming party primaries of APC come successful, and they have to make sure that there is no any iota of internal party conflict or anything that will destabilize their own political party. Because the stability of the ruling party is the stability of the Nigerians. Because as the ruling party, when there is a rigorous internal party conflict, it may likely distract those people that are saddled with the responsibility to steer the country. So the call that the president made to the governors, because FPC so far have 31 governors, and among those 31 governors, many of them are in their final lap. Yeah. And new set of governors are going to come. And part of the Electoral Act, APC and all other political parties in Nigeria have to bring their own candidate through consensus or indirect primaries. As we earlier saw that the APC have scheduled their own party primaries, which is going to take place in the next 2 or 1 week in May. So definitely after that party primaries, there is going to be a series of decamping.
Why would you say that?
Because you know how people are half-pole, how people are pretty optimistic that they are the one who are going to clinch, or they are the one who are going to be the flag bearer of that party in their state.
Why are you so certain about that? If they are agreeing on going for a primary, is that not more appreciating? It's
more appreciative and democratic in nature, but definitely you already know that there is only going to be one candidate. Yes. And we have seen many states, several people are aspiring in order to clinch that party ticket. And in a situation whereby it is only one person that is going to be selected, we are all human beings, and we know how selfish human being is naturally. So definitely, they are not getting what they want. So definitely, there is what they call winner take all and the loser lose all. So Nigerians definitely after May, toward early June, there's going to be another political realignment and another political settings.
I will not forget this statement from you because I'll be waiting till after the primary election.
We have predicted
to witness that.
The prediction is going
just a prediction.
Yeah, it's a prediction.
Let's see how that unfolds. So before moving to the next newspaper, just tell me, how do you see the APC political party right now regarding the fact that they choose primary election over concession?
Well, that is to tell you, like, the ruling party are definitely going to play their own card well because they have ironed and they have predicted that if they are going for that party consensus, is going to cause more damage to their own political party,
and it's going chaotic for them.
It's more chaotic, and it's going to create more faction, division, conflict, and the party may likely lose ground. And they definitely know that ADC are getting more momentum as the strong opposition party so far. And we have seen the likes of PDP that they are trying to battle with their own internal party conflict. Because in a democratic settings, internal party squabble is inevitable. The only way for them to manage their own internal party conflict is for them to ensure unity, justice, cohesion, and justice among their own party members. So not only among their party members, among Nigerians.
Let's look forward to the primary election from APC and of course to other political parties as well, as we're very curious to see who ends up being their candidate. So finally on our last newspaper, which is the Daily Trust, and on its front page it says El-Rufai in court over Ribadu's phone hack. What would you say about that? I think the last time we talked about Ribadu would be El-Rufai, I beg your pardon, being in detention for long. So it seems we're having further accusation, and this is about Ribadu's phone hack. But even El-Rufai is not denying it. This is something he actually mentioned. So what would you say about this? Because it's actually a crime case. We cannot be partial.
Nigerians felt somehow, as someone that has been the chief security in his state, as a former governor, to commit such act and come on air publicly to say it that you have tapped into the phone call of the National Security Advisor, despite the fact that you don't have any immunity to back you up. I think it was a mistake from Nasiru El-Rufai coming out to say that. And secondly, the relationship between Malam Nasir El-Rufai and Malam Nuhu Ribadu is a long-term relationship.
Yes.
It started since when they are in the ABU Zaria. And we have seen how Nasir El-Rufai supported Nuhu Ribadu when he was appointed as the pioneer chairman of EFCC.
Does that warrant hacking or phone call?
I'm trying to tell you something. This thing that happened, it happened when they went right and left. Because they have been friends. But when the political interests came up and they started moving right and the other one is moving left,
The trust became great.
the trust became intense.
Yes. So it went to the extent of having hacking the other's call to get information. What is this person up to?
And that thing that El-Rufai did is against the personal right of somebody in a country like Nigeria, a national security advisor.
Yes.
I think these are things that every Nigerian should not play with that. And
so, Abubakar, you know, like I said, this is not to be partial. We need to be very,
transparent.
Yes, regarding this conversation. But, okay, haven't agreed that this is actually a crime case. What was the discussion? And this, the detention and whatever El-Rufai is facing right now, is it enough for such crimes? Is it enough for the detention? So can we weigh these, like...
You know, sometimes Nigerians have been accusing the government of fighting corruption based on politics.
I feel like there are so many other security, other crime
matters,
cases, that are so elaborate.
Of course,
and
yes.
Hasn't really gotten to this level.
Of course, there are.
How do we, not to be biased, how do you weigh this issue?
To the best of my ability and to the best of my knowledge and to what Nigerians perceive about this rigmarole between them, I think this is something for them to settle amicably because they have been friends. And we have seen where Nasir El-Rufai is saying that Nuhu Ribadu named his last son after Nasir El-Rufai. This is tell you the level of friendship. And
national crime case is a national crime case.
It's a national crime case. But as some people that have been friends for over a decade, I think this is something, if not just because of the political undertone behind that, I think this is something for them to amicably resolve it. If
they're not going to amicably resolve it, I'm talking about the courts right now. What does the law say about this? Why is it prolonging? Forget about the relationship between them now. So let's weigh this. Is it enough for someone to be in detention this long? Is this case enough? Because, like I said before, we've had so many criminal cases. We've had a lot, and we've seen how Nigerian federal government handled it. So what is the undertone between
you know, there is what we call...
What was even the conversation that was had?
Nasiru up to now have not yet outlined the conversation that he tapped out. He just made it clear that they tapped into NSA phone call. And if not just because maybe there's a political reason, I think this is not something to look at to many Nigerians. And maybe it is just that Nasir have stepped on a toy. And you know, sometimes when the government wanted to frame you, and at least the government wanted to accuse you, they have several ways to keep you in detention. So let us pray the case is already in court, and let us pray that the person that is being accused will be able to have a free hearing, and the judgment will favor the person that is right and would also penalize the person that is wrong.
Okay, so today, that will be all for Newspaper Review. But I hope that this case actually gets the justice it deserves. But with this, we'll be moving on to our next segment, and it's S24 Reports, coming to you after the break. Thank you so much, Abubakar.
The Nigerian banking sector is under fresh scrutiny as the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CSLAC, launches Nigerian first comprehensive policy assessment report on sustainability and responsible finance. The report unveiled at the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center in Abuja examined how 4 major banks, Access Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, United Bank for Africa, and Zenith Bank are responding to global environmental, social and governance (ESG) compliance standards. Speaking at the event, Executive Director of CSLAC, Comrade Awal Ibrahim Musa Rafsanjani, described the finding as both revealing and concerning, noting that the banks recorded an average score of just 1.7 out of 10 across more than 400 international ESG criteria. According to him, while basic regulatory requirements may be met, sustainability has not been fully integrated into core financing decisions, with compliance yet to translate into real commitment.
Nigerian banks score 1.7 out of 10 in global ESG stress tests. And this is coming from this coalition that I had mentioned. Finance is not neutral. Every loan and every investment shapes lives, communities, and ecosystem. Yet a groundbreaking new assessment by the Fair Finance Nigeria Coalition revealed that leading commercial banks are failing drastically short of global environmental, social, and governance standard, averaging a dismal 1.7 out of 10 as they opt to hide behind outdated regulatory minimum standards.
The report revealed that all 4 banks scored 0 on tax transparency, with no clear disclosure on country-by-country reporting or exposure to tax havens. On climate action, the average score stood at just 0.9 despite Nigerians' vulnerability to climate change, while concerns were also raised over weak commitment to human rights, biodiversity, and host community protection. Dr. Augustine Okere, who spoke on the report policy assessment methodology, said the objective is to encourage stronger corporate social responsibility and promote sustainability within the financial sector. He stressed the urgent need for climate-conscious banking policies and responsible financing that support both economic growth and environmental protection. CSLAC is now calling on the Central Bank of Nigeria, banking institutions, and lawmakers to review and modernize Nigerian sustainability banking principles, which was introduced in 2012, describing them as outdated and insufficient for current realities. The organization says the future of finance must be sustainable, transparent, and accountable for national development to be truly inclusive.
Welcome back from that break, and this is Political Arena with me, Abubakar Turaki. Vote buying has become a recurring feature in Nigeria's election, raising concern about the credibility of democratic process in Nigeria and Africa. Beyond the immediate exchange of money or good for vote, it raises deeper question about governance, accountability, and the true will of people. As political process intensify, the practice continue to test the integrity of election that brought many political office holders into the position of leadership. From them, this afternoon on Political Arena, we will examine the implication of vote buying and what it means for Nigeria's democratic future and Africa. With my guest, Awal Sani, a public analyst. Awal, welcome to Political Arena.
Thank you for having me, Turaki.
So, from the academic lens, what is vote buying?
So vote buying is a process whereby a candidate, offer an incentives good